Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Reckless Optimist podcast. My name is Megan. I'm a family nurse practitioner with a deep passion for mental health. On this show, we showcase guests who have shown tenacity, grit, mental strength, and who embody the word resilience. A quick disclaimer before we start. This show is not a substitute for mental diagnosis or treatment. We do recommend that if you're struggling with your own emotional well-being, you see a mental health provider. I'm so excited that you guys are here. Let's get into it. Hey, everyone. Today on the podcast, we have Paige. I met Paige through mutual friends. She is an amazing person and someone I look up to very much. I look up to her as a business owner, as a person, as a wife, as a fitness influencer. She is just living her best life. She is someone that just embodies strength, perseverance, and resilience. She is a yoga studio instructor and owner. She owns Yoga Joint, which is a yoga studio in Florida, but she has multiple locations and she will be opening one near me in Atlanta in the next year. She is 3 years sober. She does share her story tonight. It's a really interesting story, and I know you guys are going to love it. Let's get into it. Hey, everyone. Help me welcome Paige to the podcast.
Hi.
So excited that you're here. So me and you know each other through a mutual friend, Alex, and he thought we would be a really good fit and a good collab.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm excited to tell my story, and I'm excited to get to know you a little bit more.
Yes, I know. Before we jumped on, we were talking about how you inspire me so much. I mean, you have so much going on. You have business, you have the most amazing physique. You're so strong. Like your muscles are what I want to look like. You are what I want to look like.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're definitely goals, body goals, business goals.
That's so sweet.
And so we are both sober. How many years sober are you?
So it'll be 3 years in September. So I'm really excited.
That's awesome.
I just have never, ever felt better. It was the best decision I ever made. It's not an easy decision, and a lot comes with it, as you know. And I'm so grateful that I was able to have that wherewithal to know, like, going into this stage in my life, which we'll get into, that it's like intuitively I knew I needed it. But when I look at women your age, I wish I could go back to that girl and say to her, like, you don't need this. You can get through life. You can get through this stage of life without it. But it's a true testament to you, because it's not easy when you're younger. I think I know it gets harder as you get older because you don't want to give it up. But I think it's so great when I have a lot of clients, women, especially in their 20s and 30s, that are giving it up. Even my own 21-year-old, him and his friends don't drink. And my 18-year-old, it's so crazy. It's like,
Yeah.
And my stepkids, they're 30 and 31. It's like, it's a shift now for sure, which is exciting to be a part of.
Absolutely. I'm like so proud to be a part of that movement. But you're right. There definitely is a shift. And we could probably do a whole podcast on why there is a shift. And some of it might even be like the social media of it all, because everything is recorded and documented. When we were growing up, we could do whatever and nobody knew the next day what had happened. I also think there's just a really good wellness movement that's happening right now, and I'm totally here for that too.
Same.
Yeah. Well, we're going to start our episode out with a quote like we do each time. And for your episode is by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who is an American transcendentalist, philosopher, and poet. So the quote goes, "The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference, that you have lived and lived well." What does that quote mean to you?
For me, it's about the legacy that I want to leave. And I have been thinking a lot about this in the past 5 years. It's interesting, when you're younger, you don't really think about what you're going to feel like when you start to get older. And although I'm 47, I'm not old, but I do think differently. I think, okay, wow, this is why they call midlife, because now if I think about it, allegedly, according to society, I have possibly like less good years ahead of me than behind me. And when you say good years, meaning like your body's functioning great and you don't ache and these things. And I don't ache and have these issues anymore, but I did go through a period recently where I was struggling with some health stuff that I've situated, thank God, through hormone therapy and things like that. So it is interesting. I do look at life differently, and I do want to lead. And leave a legacy for my children, for my children's children, and I'm doing it. I'm so grateful for that. And it's been a really cool experience that I'm having.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. I also thought of like what legacy when I read this quote, that's what it made me think of. And, I love the words that it used, like useful, honorable, compassionate. And, when it comes to legacy, like leaving a legacy is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? You can't just do one good thing. It has to be a lifetime. Like, what's your body of work? And it's not just making money. I mean, I don't even think that would be an important part of the legacy. It's were you caring? Did you help others? Did you inspire others? That's the kind of legacy I want to leave behind.
Same. I've always said the money that I make with my job, it's just a perk. And of course, you have to have money and you have to make money to live. But the studies show that you're no more happier having a ton of money than having a roof over your head, water, community, things like this. So it is interesting when everything I do, everything I've done in my business, and we'll get into that, but everything I've done is because I do want to be of service for my community and beyond. And a very, very long time ago, I started in the yoga fitness realm when I was 16. I went to my very first yoga class in high school, and my parents were going through a terrible divorce. I was going through a terrible time in my life. The courts had gotten involved. My mom was an addict. So there was that element to it, just a lot of dysfunction in the home. I know a lot of you guys listening can relate to that. And when the courts got involved, we had a therapist say, my brothers and I, you should try yoga. And I thought, I don't really know anything about that. And I grew up in a very Catholic family. And as of right now, I kind of joke that I'm a recovering Catholic, but I thought, okay, well, let's try it because I was a runner. And well, when I say runner, like I jogged outside starting at like 12, 13, I just wanted to get away from my household and away from my parents and away from my mom's addiction issues. So a new movement at a young age helped me emotionally, spiritually, mentally. So when she suggested to go to yoga, I thought, okay, well, that could be interesting. It's yoga, and I didn't know much about it. I thought it was a little bit of a cult. I thought it was a religion. I just didn't know. So the very first class I went to, there's something at the end of class called Final Shavasana, and you just lay there. And trust me, you want to lay there because you're done. It's hot in the class. I went to a hot yoga. It's hot. You're using parts of your body that you don't even realize that you even have. You're using muscles in your body that you don't even realize you have. And lying there, I thought, my God, I felt like a weight got lifted off my throat, my chest, like my stomach, everything immediately just felt lighter. And I was 16 years old. And I thought to myself, I got to figure out a way that everybody on this planet can feel this feeling because this is going to save so many people. And it didn't click right then and there because I was so young, but I graduated high school. I didn't go to college. I started working in the studio right away. I was 18, turning 19, and I just said, okay, I'm not going to go to college, but I'm going to work in the studio. I'm going to learn everything about the business and everything about people and giving myself of service and the needs and why people come to yoga. I'm just going to get really curious and I'm going to ask a lot of questions because curiosity will be the answer to what you need to do in your business. And I knew that at a young age. So I just started going to classes, started asking people a ton of questions. Why are you here? What do you show up for? How does this make your body feel? Do you like the heat? Do you not like the heat? Do you like the sweat? There were so many different elements of the discipline. I thought, wow, this is amazing because my life felt so out of control. And this was so disciplined from the time you walked in. There was a pose after a pose after a pose. And it's not to this degree anymore, but back then you couldn't even drink your water until they told you to. It was more like a martial arts. Now, of course, people want to drink their water. We let them drink water. So I started working with my then teacher and boss, and I worked for him for a decade. And for 10 years, I have stacks of journals still where I just would write everything. And I would write down the pros and the cons, what people would say about the classes, what they would say about their clothes. Cause I thought if I have a clothing line one day, I just listened and listened and listened. I just let people talk and I listened. And one day I went to my boss and said, listen, I think that we could do so much better. There's so many things about this business where we could make more money, where we could make people happier, where we could add different classes, we could add this, add that, add that. And I was, in the meantime, even though I was a yogi, I was doing yoga every day, I was teaching yoga every day, multiple times a day. I was starting to get into other parts of fitness, Pilates stuff and classes and mat classes. And we didn't offer any of that at the time. At the studio I taught it, I said, let's offer different modalities. No, 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 no. So I ended up going on my own. I got an investor for my very first studio, and that was in 2010. I had kids and all that, got married, did all that stuff. I was in my early 30s and opened up my first location in 2010 with a business partner. The partnership wasn't great. There were some pitfalls there. And then I opened up a second location without this business partner, with a new business partner. There were some pitfalls there. I opened up a third location with a third business partner, but I had already bought this business partner out, bought this business partner out, went in 50-50, basically like 51-49, went in with the third business partner. You would think third time's a charm. No, it wasn't. Had another disastrous situation with them. And then finally my fourth business partners, who I still am in business with now. It's been like 9 years. It clicked. So I always tell young entrepreneurs, first, maybe if you don't have to have a partner, maybe don't. But if you have to have a partner, just know that it could go south. And if it does, it's not the end of the world. You learn so much. So fourth business partner, my business partners now, and I have 20 locations. Yeah. And we're literally on the fast track. We just got a ton of money injected into the business. And we did something really interesting. We got a traditional loan from the bank, but we also went to our clientele. So it's been really, really cool. It's like a little bit of a grassroots way to raise capital for your company. So our actual people that are around us, that love us, that have watched me from before I even owned Yoga Joint to where we are now, watch me grow. That's what my podcast is called, because of this, because so many people have watched us grow. So it's a business opportunity for them. So there's silent investors. So we have this whole investment package. So you can franchise. We have a corporate stores, which is my business partners and I, and then we have this JV. So now we have 3 different buckets, if you will, on how we're growing and expanding. And obviously, in the meantime, there's been all sorts of stuff. My husband and I have 2 kids, and then I have 2 stepkids from his previous marriage. So we have 4 kids. He's a doctor. He's an OBGYN. He's been delivering babies for the past 30 years. He's recently just retiring from that and opening up longevity clinics. So he's like soaring in his way. I'm soaring in my way. We're just about to be empty nesters. Our 18-year-old is just getting ready to go to college. In the meantime, I started lifting weights when I got sober. I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I do yoga and my fit class in the morning, but then at night at 5 o'clock, I would always have that drink. So I thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to have the urge to want to drink. I need to do something. So I decided to go into a gym. I had no idea what I was doing. Even though I'm a fitness person and people think it's a totally different, like yoga, Pilates, mat-based exercises are different than walking into a gym. So went into the gym and started doing that. And it really helped. For me personally, I feel like you need like something to, whether it's walking. When my brother's been sober 5 years. And when he got sober, he would start, in the beginning, he would walk. So every time he'd feel like he'd want to drink, he'd just go outside and start walking, go outside, start walking. So I had that in my head, like, you know what, I should go. And I didn't want to go back to take another yoga class, which, look, I love taking multiple yoga classes a day, but the type of yoga that we do at my studios, it's hot. So it's so silly, but like, I didn't have to want to wash my hair again. I didn't want to do all that again. So I decided at the gym, it's like you get sweaty, but not like hot yoga. So you can just quickly rinse after. So I started going to the gym, quit drinking. And it was just all perfect timing because I would not be able to be the businesswoman that my business needs if it wasn't for quitting drinking and really putting myself first for the first time in my life. So in a nutshell, that's my story. Of course, there's so many ups and downs within that, but in a nutshell, that's my story.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, the way that you grew your business is so interesting to me, and how you have like the investors of people that were already coming to your yoga studio. I love that arc so much. I have some questions. You had mentioned your mom was an addict. Did she ever get into recovery? Kind of describe that experience.
So I'm very familiar with addiction. It runs deeply in my family. So she, unfortunately, I do not have a relationship with her. She still battles her addiction. I have two brothers, and one of my brothers is still close with her. And she's the type of addict where she goes years. It's so wild. Years, like 2 years sober, and then she starts again. And then she'll be on her binders for 6 months. So she never was really able to create a life for herself. She never was really able. She's 75. She can't hold a job. My brother has to support her. She doesn't have she has no drive or passion because addiction just has a hold of her. And as most of us know, if it has a hold of you, it's not an easy battle to fight.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the stats are against most people when it comes to addiction. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing the work that I'm doing now. So I wanted to ask you about your relationship with alcohol. Were you a drinker when you were younger? Did that escalate? Or did you just notice it was a bad habit you wanted to stop?
So it's interesting because I grew up with an addict. I thought to myself, well, I'm just never, ever, ever going to be like that. So it's interesting how it caught up with me the way it did. So I never drank until I was in my early 30s. My husband and I went to Napa Valley. I was like, my husband knows my mom is a raging addict. I'm like, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to be involved, blah, blah, blah. Well, we go and it's like so glamorous and it was so fun and it's just beautiful. It was just beautiful. And everything looked so lovely and fancy. And we got, these really nice outfits for the trip. And it was just so glamorized. And it was one of the very first time I even tried wine. My husband was a beer drinker, but not really a big beer drinker. So we got into drinking wine. And then you're in the moment there and you're like, oh, well, sure, I'll become like wine clubs, and it's very elegant. It's sexy. And I wanted to be a part of that. I was like, this is like my vibe. I love this. So I got into it. And in the beginning, this is so interesting. When we were there, we bought this apparatus that allows you to penetrate the cork, similar to a needle penetrating the skin, go into the wine. It will allow you to pour what you want. So you can pour a half a glass, less than a glass, and then keep it, and you don't have to take the cork out. And I was like, this is amazing because I don't want to drink a bottle of wine. My husband and I, even together, we didn't even want to drink a whole bottle of wine. So that's how little we drank in the beginning. Well, that's the sneaky part about alcohol, is that it was a couple glasses a week. Over time, went to a glass a day over time, because the span of me drinking was about 31, 32 till I was about 44, 45. So that decade, if you will, it just went from having a little bit to having a little bit more to having a little bit more. And at the end, I was drinking a bottle and a half every day. And it was just no bueno. I felt terrible. I was cranky with my kids. I was fighting with my husband. I was cranky with my business partners. I wasn't showing up for meetings. Not like I was this drunk by any means. And anybody who I talk to about it, they're like, I don't understand. Like, I literally saw you in yoga every day. And I was like, yeah, I felt like I was going to die. Like, I literally felt like I was going to die. But I didn't say that because it was no one's business. And I didn't even know what was happening. At the time, my son, my 21-year-old now, that at that time, he was getting ready to go to college, and that was really difficult for me. My stepkids had gone to college, and it was hard for my husband. But for me, because he was my firstborn, I didn't realize how much none of my girlfriends that had kids that are older than my kids told me how weird it is that you're a mom, and then all of a sudden You teach your kids to go and your kids don't need you. And it's devastating. It's devastating. So that made me drink more because I was sad. And I prayed every day, please, universe, please, God, take this urge out of me. I don't want to become my mother. I don't know what's happening. I'm being snappy with my daughter. She only has 3 more years left here at the house. I'm being snappy with my husband. Like I'm like pushing friends away. Like I just want to sit and drink. I couldn't wait till 5 o'clock. It just got so ahead of me. And if you would have asked anybody, do you think this could happen to Paige? People would say absolutely not. She's got her life together. She's strong. She's disciplined. But it just got a hold of me. It got its hooks in me. And my son left for college. I was so hatingly sad that he wasn't here, and I was in his room and I was cleaning his closet and I was just praying, God, please help me, please help me, please help me. I had tried to quit a couple times before. It just didn't work. I would go like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then I'd be like, I'm fine. It's just a couple glasses of wine. It's not a big deal. So I put on Dr. Huberman's podcast. It's like podcast number 83, I think. And it's the one about your brain on alcohol. And what's interesting is I'm considered a healthy, conscious person. I own yoga fitness, boutique fitness studios. I work out every day. I've always eaten really well, whether I was a vegan or Mediterranean or now carnivore. I don't eat processed food. But yet I was drinking every day and no one was really saying, hey, that's a lot of sugar and it's bad for you. I was taught that like a glass of wine is good for you, which I know it's not. So I listened to that Huberman podcast and it was just that podcast, a light switch went off. And that brought me to Dr. Amen's podcast and that brought me to Quit Like a Woman. And I read that book and it just cascaded into, this is crazy. I do not want to drink anymore. And in the meantime, when I was drinking, I became a wine rep for this organic company. So it was really interesting because I was like in the top sales, like even though I was running my business, I was doing this. It was an MLM and I was like really into it and I had a team. And then all of a sudden I had to say, guys, like I can't do this anymore. Like in good graces, I can't sell wine and not drink it. And I was making like 3,000 to 5,000 a month. I mean, it was a lot of money as like a little side hustle. Like I was doing really well. And I would go to wine parties and I would have wine tastings. And so it was a huge part of my life that I was just like, I'm done. And I love how Dr. Amen says, you may love wine, but wine does not love you back. And I kept thinking like, would I want my children to be in love with something, buddy, that didn't love them back? Like, no, I had to really look at it. And I'm so happy that I did it. My dad's 75 and he's been drinking his whole life. He quit. And he hasn't had a drink in almost 3 years. All my girlfriends, we all quit together. None of us drink anymore. So that's wild. We just all did it together. And it's been the best thing that I mean, obviously besides having my children and marriage and everything, it's the best thing that I've ever done for myself. And I've inspired so many people. I have a quick story. So a girlfriend of mine that I grew up with, her son died recently. He was 17 years old and she quit because of my journey, following my journey through social media. And this is a little bit of a sensitive topic, but I think it's important. But her 17-year-old committed suicide. And she told me that if she had not quit drinking, she probably would have done the same. And I get a little choked up because we don't realize that we think alcohol de-stresses us. But when you take it out of your life, you know that you can handle anything and you're so much less stressed. But you drink because you think, oh my God, I got to take the edge off, because that's what all these movies and society tells us. But your edge is off. You don't even have an edge. You're like, oh, I can handle this. Holy crap, I'm so strong. But the alcohol is sneaky because the alcohol makes you weak, but you don't realize how weak you are until you step away from it. So that's just one little story. I mean, it's a massive story, but of how many people that have quit because I quit and the stories that they tell me, it's so tremendous. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that made me tear up and I got chills everywhere listening to that. I mean, No, the domino effect is huge. The butterfly effect, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the little moves that you make are changing other people's lives on a whole other scale. And that is, I mean, I can't even describe how amazing that is. That's awesome.
I
Awesome.
think because I wasn't my mom is a raging alcoholic. And I think because most of us look at that and think, oh, I'm not that, so I'm not an alcoholic. But for me, I'm an alcoholic because I drank when I didn't want to drink. I functioned. My kids were at school every day. I was at work every day. I looked like this. But I think the reason why I was able to inspire so many people is because they can look at me and see themselves. Like they're like, oh, I work out. I I go to exercise classes. I'm a good mom. I'm a good wife. Like I'm a good person, but I am doing this a lot. I am drinking a lot. And I think that when you're like falling down drunk, it's like you can't relate to that. A lot of us can't relate to that, but a lot of us can relate to, why am I drinking? It's escapism. What am I escaping? What do I need to look at? So I think, because I've gotten asked before, like, why do you think so many people were like, God, if Paige can quit drinking, I can quit drinking. I'm like, I think it's because I was the girl on the boat on Sundays having a couple drinks. I was at the football game with my family having a couple drinks. Like they see themselves in me. So if I can quit drinking, not being a fall down drunk, then you can do it too.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree. That inspires me too, so much. I wanted to ask you a few questions. One was, on the last day that you drank, did you plan that? Were you like, this is my last drink, or was it just a spontaneous sober moment?
It was a spontaneous sober moment. I had been praying for about a year. I was like, universe, please help me, help me. I kept trying to quit and I couldn't. And so September, I would have to go back and look at the date, but September 7th, 6th or 7th, it was a Labor Day weekend. And I had two of my girlfriends over. And ironically, my one girlfriend who ended up quitting a couple months after me, at that time, she was not drinking. And she knows this, so I'm not saying anything behind her back, but I thought, oh, she's crazy. Like, why would you not drink? Like, we're having a barbecue. We had friends over and everybody left and the kids all went out and the three of us were there. And my one friend wasn't drinking and my other friend and I had already had like a bottle of wine throughout. The barbecue started at my house like at 3. I started drinking rosé at 3 and then we had steaks for dinner. I went to red wine and then everybody left and then we opened up another bottle. So I had like a bottle and a half. And I think also people were doing like tequila on the rocks with orange because it was in the summer. And my son had just left for college. So this was like August, September. I think I had a tequila too. So I was just feeling it. And I felt so hungover the next morning. And I had to go to work and I canceled work. And I had not done that before. And I was like, oh my God, this is not good. And then I cleaned out my son's room and closet and I put the podcast on my phone and I just put it right up in his closet. And I was going through everything because he had left for college. And I just started listening and I was hungover. I felt terrible. I didn't sleep. I hadn't been sleeping. And I was like, this is bad. Like, you just got to stop. I suppose it was spontaneous, but I had been thinking about it and trying to quit for like a year without succeeding. And now it's just like, you couldn't pay me. You couldn't pay me to go back to that.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And the Huberman episode was amazing. I listened to that and it was so refreshing to finally hear someone of his status. I mean, he's a neuroscientist, say wine, alcohol, there's no health benefits. Zero, 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 zero. Because nobody had really come out and said it on such a public platform. And when I listened to that episode, I was like, yes, yes, say it. And he's so cute too. I'm like, influence people.
I know. I
Yeah.
know.
I wanted to ask you a few questions about recovering out loud. I love that you do that. I wish more people would, but I understand it's a very individualistic decision. When did you decide to do that, and how are your feelings after you came out sober?
I think it's scary because if you change your mind, so I can only speak for my experience. So I know everybody has a different experience, but for me, I didn't identify, if you will, as an alcoholic. So I didn't go to, my best friend, she identifies as an alcoholic and she's gone through this through the 12-step program. And I'm so proud of her. And that's working for her. For me, that wasn't, it didn't call to me like that. I knew I wanted to quit. I know my personality. If I put my mind to something and if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I also like to live out loud because it keeps me accountable. So if I tell people that I'm not drinking, it keeps me accountable because if they see me drinking or if I post, if I'm out and somebody sees it, then it's like, wait, I thought you quit drinking. And although that is terrifying, because I thought, God, what if I change my mind? And what if this isn't working? And what if I don't want to be sober and I'm out here? But I'm not scared to live out loud. And I'm not afraid what people are going to think of me. I've been judged. I mean, I was 11 years old and I was at a birthday party. And this little girl was like, this is a core memory of mine. She was like, oh, you just think you're perfect, Paige, perfect, Paige. And I was like, I don't think I'm perfect. Like, what? And I was so young. And so I have been judged. I've been in like the limelight in this community and for, 20 years teaching and fitness and packing out classes and being interviewed and being on TV with different things and press releases and whatnot. So I get judged. I mean, people, on my social media, it just is what it is. I have thick skin and I focus on the people that I've inspired. That's all I think about. We're a community. Although we don't know each other, we are tied together now and from an invisible string. It's the invisible string theory. We are all, us sober sisters, we are together. Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, now that my daughter, my youngest, is going to be moving to go to college, I do want to get more involved here locally. A friend of mine who also is sober 3 years, we all kind of quit together. She started a book club with it and she started her own separate Instagram on it. She started doing weekly activities with women in our community. They go to a dance class, they go to a yoga class, they'll go to church, they'll go do stuff. So I want to start to get involved with these women because I just think that that's so cool that she started that. I would love, love, love. I have all these business ideas to do like really fun. It's already happening, but I would love to do like mocktail night at the studios, at my studios at Yoga Joint, like a yoga class, take a shower, have food, mocktails, like things like that. We're members of a yacht club. It's more my husband likes it, but I got them to do this mocktail night, which was huge because everybody just drinks so much at these clubs. So I'm trying to do more things like that and get more involved now that my kids are, that I'm like an empty nester. So I'm looking forward to doing more things like that. But I prefer to live out loud because then it's like, I'm not ashamed. This is who I am. And I've lost followers over it. Like, oh, who do you think you are? You sold wine and now you're sober and I don't have a problem. And it's like, okay, no problem. I just don't even respond. I just keep it moving. And I focus on the stories. I've gotten hundreds, Megan, hundreds of people, hundreds say to me, because of you, I've got through my husband having cancer. I quit drinking and now I can actually do it because of you. My son that just got diagnosed with ADHD. My son had a car accident, the death of my son. Like this is like big, heavy stuff that people go through. And they're reaching out to me saying, thank you for your story. I mean, that's insane, like insane. And I have only 20,000 followers. Like I said earlier, I think people can, and my husband too quit and he talks about it. So I think people can see themselves in us. And that helps because typically you think, well, I don't need to get sober. I'm not a drunk. But it's like, you might not be a drunk, but you do need to get sober because it's not good for anybody,
Yeah. No, I love what you're talking about. Essentially, you're changing the narrative, right? So when I look at you and you tell your story and you talked about, the glamorous life, you're a doctor's wife, you're beautiful, you're fitness, like icon. You had this vision or an image of what glamour is, but now you're living this life, this sober life that's even more glamorous, but doesn't contain the alcohol. And that is what people need to see because that's how we collectively become a healthier society.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's definitely a shift. However, I do think we have a long way to go. I listen to a ton of podcasts And on every single one of the pop culture podcasts I listen to, whether it's Call Her Daddy or whether it's Lisa Rinna and Harry Hamlin's podcast, or whether it's Amanda Hirsch with Not Skinny, Not Fat, or just whatever pop culture podcasts I listen to, these are the top podcasters in the world. They're talking about health and wellness things, but they're still talking about alcohol. I mean, I'm a big follower of Teddy Mellencamp, and she has cancer and brain cancer, and she had skin cancer. And she's talking about how she's on her birthday, she was going and having this sort of type of tequila. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, no, guys, like, no, like you just, so it is still like, I think that we're definitely making strides, but I think that we do have a long way to go. But I just think the more we all talk about it, you're doing such a great job with what you're doing and spreading the word. And I think more and more things like this, we reach people that we would not reach if we weren't sitting here together today. And I think that that's special. And I think it helps. It's the ripple effect.
It's interesting. Once I got sober, I started to notice, you start to observe and see how infiltrated the alcohol industry is with the fitness and wellness industry. And it's so interesting, like, you know, specifically for you, you're in the yoga industry. I remember there'd be a lot of like yoga and wine. And when I got sober, I was like, that just doesn't make sense. Do you still see a lot of that in your area?
I do. That's one of the things so it's interesting. I've had enough women reach out to me and say, I'm just so happy that you're not drinking anymore because I love you. I love your studios. I love your brand. But I used to struggle following you because you would be talking about how you had this amazing yoga class and then you would post that you were drinking. And they were like, I struggled with that because how does it all work? So I do think that you are still seeing this like yoga wine thing, but the big part of yoga is non-judgment. So I just have to look at it. I say a prayer. I just send them love and light and energy and just say, universe, like help them realize that this isn't the best for them, but everybody's on their own path and journey. And as much as we would love to just like shake people and be like, you don't realize, we just can't. And people are going to drink and people are going to use it for whatever they use it. And I do still have friends that are like, for me, it's fine. And you know what? Maybe it is. It's just, I don't know. I'm not to judge them, but for me, it wasn't. So,
yeah. Well, and I think it brings up the whole idea of informed consent, right? Are you aware of the negative effects of alcohol? Because a lot of people that grew up in our, kind of generation are not, right? So the work that you're doing and the work that I'm doing now, hopefully is giving people that informed consent.
Yes. And I think so. When we were that age, I wasn't personally drinking, but everybody around me was just drinking. And it's still like my daughter going to college, and we've been going back and forth to where she's going to college. And I'm just like, it's wild. These kids are so young and they just don't understand that what they're doing now is just setting themselves up for what they're going to be in their 30s and 40s and 50s. And it's like, it is interesting. Hopefully more and more people are learning, and it is in mocktails. You can go to any restaurant now. We were just at Earl's and they have this amazing mocktail list. And I'm like, this is great. And it's not just like gross sugary drinks. It's like real fresh juices and sparkling waters. And then there's this thing called Seed Lip. It's a mocktail. And they have that, and they have the recess. And so I'm like, this is great. Like more and more restaurants are getting stuff. So
I'm all for it. We just had a sober bar open up in Atlanta. There's a lot of them out in Denver and out west, but I love it so much.
That's so cool. Yoga Night's coming to Atlanta.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'll be your first guest.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
We'll meet in person. Yeah, yes. We just closed and signed the deal and closed like 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, you have to message me about all of this. I will be there. I'll be at your first class.
I will. That's exciting.
I wanted to ask you, this is a great segue because I wanted to talk about your fitness journey. You are absolutely fit. I mean, your fitness journey is so inspiring. The way that you look is so inspiring. And while it's fun to look good, ultimately you're setting yourself up for this next 40 years to be extremely healthy. I think as society, we think when you turn 40, you're supposed to go out to pasture and not be hot and not be strong and just be forgotten. And I don't subscribe to that narrative, and you definitely don't subscribe to that. So just kind of give us that take on how you got to be the fittest person I've ever seen in my life at 47.
Thank you. So I was always pretty fit. because I've always worked out. I started working out at a young age, as I said before. When I started going through, not to get, because this is a whole nother podcast, but I went into perimenopause a little early. But I didn't know. Now I know. And my husband, who is the retired OBGYN, he didn't know much about that part. He says it's like 3 hours of menopause and perimenopause, premenopause, and menopausal stuff. So I started to take a deep dive about 3 years ago. I had gained, I was always roughly, I'm small. I'm 5'4". I was always like 115 pounds. And I went to, still small, but for me, I went up to like 135, and it was just kind of out of nowhere. But I was drinking probably more. And then, you drink and then you don't make great decisions for, even though like in my household, it's like healthy food. It just, if you're eating more calories than you're burning, my hormones were all crazy. I just felt terrible. I didn't know what was going on. So I started to take a deeper dive through podcasts. Thank God for podcasts, because I started listening to Dr. Marie Claire. She took me into all these other women that were in their mid 40s that had gone through similar experiences. And I was like, I am not too young. Like, because my husband was like, at the time I was like 43, 44. And he's like, you're too young. You're too young. And I was like, I'm not, I know this is it. Like, I have every single weird symptom. And also, I've always been 115, and now it's not like I woke up at 135. I saw it creeping up, but I was just like, nothing, none of my clothes fit. I just wasn't sleeping good, blah, 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 blah. So right around the time that I quit drinking, I got into more of I like up my protein. I was a vegan for like 25 years. And although this is such a hot topic and we will not have to get into it, the vegan diet, there are a lot of gaps for women. It might not work for everybody, and it just happened to not work for me. So when I introduced the proteins, my body started to shift. My body composition started to shift. And then we have a class at Yoga Joint where we do weights. And although I developed the class, it's hard. And I'm a yogi, so I wasn't taking it as much. So I started taking fit more. And then I started going to the gym because I wanted something to do. My kids were older. I wasn't drinking anymore. So I started going to the gym. So between upping my protein, quitting drinking, which helped me sleep, I hadn't started the hormones yet. So then I started to work out. Within it does take a little while. It took me like a good year to start to see some results. And now it's been like almost 3 years. So I definitely see the results now. Quit drinking, high protein, yoga, of course, the Fit 45 class. And then I started walking every day. That wasn't just not a part of my regimen. So I do an hour walk every morning with my neighbor early, like 7 a.m. Yoga, gym, and my diet, just like the high protein really, really helped. Like, I basically don't eat sugar because the wine was like my sugar. So taking that out really helped. And then about a year ago, I got on hormone replacement therapy, bioidentical hormones. And then that really was like the catalyst, because it gave me back my life and it gave me back my energy. My hormones were tanked. I'm 47. So it showed last year that I was in full menopause, which it's like, how is a 46-year-old in menopause? You think you have to be old, but it's like, no, you don't. So I got on testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. I'm monitored and do the blood work and everything. And all of that just completely shifted. I did have a good base. My husband lost 100 pounds. So he used to weigh 285 and now he weighs 185. Wow. So for him, he has this tremendous story. My story, I lost, 15 pounds. But for me, 15 pounds was 15 pounds too much because I had never had that on my body. So that's been a little bit of my fitness journey. I've always been in the fitness world, but now I'm locked in. And I don't know if it's my age. I think that at my age, when you're 45, 46, 47, you got to get locked in. You got to get locked in with your diet. You got to get locked in with your macros. You got to get locked in with your workout. A lot of gym people don't do yoga. I would highly, highly recommend it because the mental part, also for your joints and your body. But that's pretty much my sort of trifecta. It's yoga, fit, and gym.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about you, though, is that you show it. Your Instagram, your social media, you show your body. And I am obsessed with that because I think you get to a certain age and people think, oh, you're not supposed to anymore. But I want to see. I want to see how your muscles look. I want to see you look amazing. That to me is so inspirational. I
Thank
love
you.
that you do that so much.
Thank you. No, it's funny because, of course you have the people that are like, aren't you a little old for this? And I'm like, no way. I'm like,
No.
I follow these women in their 60s. I'll share it with you. And I'm just like, my God, they're so gorgeous. And they're in their bikinis and they look so good. I'm like, this is going to be me. This is going to be me. It gives us hope. It gives us
I know.
hope.
When I don't know if you saw, I think it was the Super Bowl, but when Dolly Parton came out and that Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, I was like, yes, girl, like live it.
Same. I was like,
Yeah.
God, I just
She
listened
looked
to her
hot.
on Khloe Kardashian's podcast and she was
Yeah.
so cute. And I'm just like, I love her. She was
Yeah.
talking about all that. She's like, I want to look good and I want to feel a certain way. And if you want to judge me, you want to judge me. I was just talking about this on my podcast the other day because people say to me all the time, like, how are you so motivated? I'm like, it's not really motivation because in your 20s, you look good. You wake up looking like that. In your late 40s, it's work. It's hard work. I have to put in the work. I had to put in the dedication. I have to say no to things when all my friends are doing stuff. I'm like, I got to go to the gym. I got to do it because it just makes me feel good. And when I look good, I feel good.
I totally agree with that. I have one more question before we get to the lightning round. What are your goals moving forward? I mean, you're so motivated and that I love seeing that. And I know you have big dreams and big goals. So where do you see yourself business-wise, sober-wise, health-wise in the next 5-10 years?
So business-wise, my goal is to expand out of the United States. So that's my 5-year goal. So I'm going to do it. I've been putting it out there. I'm going to do it. It wasn't in our plan. We were just going to expand through South Florida, Texas, Georgia, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, things like that. And now I'm like, no, guys, like, why not? Like, look at where we're going. Let's just keep going. So that's my business. In my marriage, my goal right now is to just be kinder to my husband. I'm a little bit of like ball buster. And he's just so kind and lovely and sweet. And what happens is I take my boss type of energy into the home a lot. And I was thinking, I want to explore more of my feminine side because now my kids I'm going to be an empty nester in 2 weeks. And so I want to just see what it's like to just be a little bit, I don't need to have like rules and regiments in my house anymore because they're not that I'm like this super strict person, but you just have to function in your home. So I'm looking forward to end up getting more into more of like a feminine side of my relationship and with my husband. And just to be a better friend, I keep saying to myself, your goals are to get hotter, to get wealthier, to get nicer, to get softer, like emotionally, to get more spiritual. Because something is pulling in my heart to start going to church. So I'm going to do that. So we'll see.
I think those are amazing goals. I love all of those goals you have for yourself. And I know you're going to do all of these things. I can see it already. The fire in you is so strong.
Thank you.
I admire your ambition so much.
Thank you so much.
So we have made it to the lightning round of our show. I ask the same 5 questions to each guest. They're fun, get to know you. People get invested in who you are after they listen to your story. So the first question is, you're given 3 options. You have to pick one. Would you shark dive, bungee jump, or skydive?
So I know your questions because I've listened. So
you're prepared.
I'm just going to pretend. No, I'm just going to pretend I'm not prepared. So skydive. I've never done it and I'd like to try it.
Okay. Have you done the other 2?
No.
Nope.
But I don't think I would do that. My husband has shark dove. Well, my husband's done all of it. He's done all of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Number 2, you're in a simulation. Every time you walk into a room, the same song plays. What's your song?
This one, I was literally, when I was thinking about the podcast, I was thinking about Dolly Parton. And then I was like, that is so weird that you brought up Dolly Parton like 5 minutes ago because it would be a Dolly Parton song.
I love
so it was
that.
wild that you said that. It was, I had the chills because I was like, that was crazy that she just said that.
I can read your mind.
That's what I was thinking, like an energetic connection.
So funny. I love that. She's a baddie.
Oh my God. I
Such a
know. I
baddie.
love her.
Number 3, what is your favorite Disney movie?
So I like the Frog and the Princess. It's
Yeah, that's
just
a good
so, oh
one.
my God, we love it. And we've
Yeah.
watched it so many times. My daughter and I just watched it again. And it's one that's like, people are like, what? What? I don't remember that one. Like, it's not like there's so many, but that one we love.
I love that. No one's ever said that one. That's a good
Oh,
one.
nice.
Number 4, what is something you're obsessed with?
Yoga.
Yeah. Good. I need to do more of that. I'm a runner and someone told me, I had a coach tell me once that I was like a Ferrari in the wrong gear because I don't stretch. I'm not very flexible. So one of my goals is to get into yoga.
Yeah. Well, hopefully at Yoga Joint when we come there, you
I will
can
be there.
start.
I'll be there. Number 5, last question. What does freedom mean to you?
Freedom means to me exactly the way I'm living now. I don't, it's so crazy how you are locked in a prison when you have to drink. So being sober is freedom to me. I don't have to think about alcohol. I don't have to think about, am I drinking just a little bit? Am I not? Should I have a glass? Should I not? That part was torture that last year where I was like trying not to do it, trying to slow down. I'm just so glad it's not an option anymore. Freedom is being sober.
Yeah. That's a great answer. I can't thank you enough for coming on. I look up to you in so many ways, so it's truly an honor to have you on the show, to hear your story, and to collab with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Megan, for having me.
Yeah.
I'll see you in Atlanta.
I can't wait. I'll be there.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks. Bye, guys.